Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is Jeremy Smith. Last time, whenever we talked about lights, I was talking about the Interfit S1. And I brought you guys a little short video that I shot with my iPhone, just kind of showing you a brief little overview of this light. But I wanted to take a little bit of time to show you guys this light in a little more detail. And I also wanted to give you a more detailed comparison with the Profoto B1 and also kind of report on how my experience has been so far as I've used this light with more with a little bit more detail and such. As I showed you guys before, the Interfit S1, it kind of looks like a Profoto B1 clone. The thing that sets it apart the most is this connection over here on the side. This actually allows us to be able to attach an AC power adapter. And the cool thing about this light is that even though it's half the cost of the B1, it actually comes with a battery and the AC power adapter in the box. And so this is our AC power adapter unit right here. This kind of hefty dude right here just plugs right into the side. And this gives you the ability to power the unit from the mains. So if you're shooting in the studio or something like that, you don't have to worry about charging your batteries and such. So that's a pretty cool thing. Whenever we tested the Photix Indra 360 light, I kind of talked about, well, let's see, what were we doing? Oh yeah, when I was talking about the B1, I kind of compared it to the Photix Indra 360, and I showed you guys how the recycle time was faster with the Indra if I plugged in the AC power adapter. With this unit, it actually recycles very, very fast, and it doesn't matter if you're using the AC power adapter or if you're using the battery. It still recycles very, very quickly. As a quick little test here, side by side. So I'll turn our B1 here to the max power, and we'll turn the Interfit to the max power also. Okay, we use the transmitters here, and these transmitters are they're kind of twinsies too. You can see how they both look almost identical to each other. Okay, let's see here. All right, here we go, and yeah, so you can see the Profoto is a little faster. Yeah, so the Profoto is just slightly faster, but they are both so close that, I personally wouldn't be disappointed with either of these. I have shot with the B1 a lot more lately. I went out and I did a shoot, and one of the main goals of doing this shoot was actually to test the B1s. I took a couple of units out that day. The weather was supposed to be, clear skies, and my plan was to illuminate, have the car kind of illuminated more with the sun, and then light the model more with the B1. But unfortunately, just before the model and the car got there, all these clouds rolled in and things got kind of ominous, kind of apocalyptic looking outside. And so unfortunately there was no beautiful sun. So I decided to use one of the B1s as an artificial sun. It ended up at full power, and my main light on the model and kind of on the car there, that was fired into a 7-foot Westcott shoot-through umbrella, and that light ended up being on roughly half power. So I was using the lights at pretty high power, and I was very, very happy with the recycle time of the B1s. The Interfit units, I haven't shot with these enough so far to kind of report on them, but during my brief little test at a recent trade show in Oklahoma, I had a chance to shoot with this light a little bit, and without having the B1 directly beside it, I wasn't really able to tell any tangible difference, any real world difference between the recycle time of both units. So they're both very, very fast. Color consistency wise, I did a little test, and I may put a link to some sample images if I have them done in time to show you guys how both these units compare color consistency wise. And this Interfit unit, I was actually very, very happy with it. It did very, very well color consistency wise. Now, I have a little bit of a theory as to how they were able to attain such good color consistency at such a low price. One thing I noticed about the Interfit light is that, unfortunately, you cannot shoot at very, very wide apertures with it because the light, it doesn't dial down to a very, very low power setting. It gives you It gives you, I believe, 7 stops of range, and the Profoto gives you 9 stops of range. So the Profoto is able to go down to a much lower power setting if you like to shoot at wider apertures and such. But my theory is this. My theory is that in order for Interfit to have very good color consistency, I don't think that it was really possible for them to have very good color consistency and a very wide range of power at this price point. So I think they kind of compromised a little there, and I think that they decided to have greater color consistency, but I think that they decided to do that at the expense of the range of power. And this isn't really a bad thing, guys. I mean, this is how the world works. There's always compromises to be made. So I really commend them, though, for the consistency that they achieved with this light at this particular price point. But I think that's how they probably did it. You know, it makes sense, at least to me. But all in all, very happy with the light so far. You know, I think that this may actually be the best light that you can get at this price point if you're looking for features like TTL and high-speed sync, and a nice all-in-one battery-powered light. And of course, having the ability to do AC power is a nice addition as well. Now, a lot of people have been very concerned about not being able to plug the Profoto into the wall. During my shoot, even though I was shooting at very high power, I mean, I was able to shoot the entire thing. I was using 2 B1s. I only had 1 extra battery. I was kind of concerned by that. But even after roughly 400 frames and 3 hours of shooting, I didn't actually manage to exhaust the battery on either of the B1 units that I was using. So I was very impressed with the battery life here. Now, the Interfit, even though I haven't shot it long enough to really find out myself, I do expect, based on the reports I've been reading and just looking at the technical data, I do expect the Interfit to last a little longer. And I think that's why the recycle time is a little bit slower on it. So once again, nice little compromise there. You know, recycle time versus battery life. I feel like either unit works out really well. It just kind of depends on which you want. Do you want better battery life or do you want better recycle time? Now, the only thing I can come up with as a downside to not being able to plug the Profoto into the wall, which yeah, if you could plug the Profoto into the wall, that would be really sweet. You know, if you have a couple of extra batteries, they only take about 2 hours to charge with the standard charger. They have an even faster charger that will cut that charge time in half. The only downside that I can come up with is that even if you do have several batteries, you know, batteries are finite. You know, you can only recharge your batteries so many times. So I could see how over the life of the light, having to replace the batteries as they slowly wear out, that could be a downside. Whereas with the Interfit, you could just plug it straight into the wall and you could save the batteries for only the times when you actually need battery power when you're outdoors and such. So once again, more pros and more cons. When we look at the modifier system on both these lights, of course, Profoto, they use their proprietary method here, which has a speed ring that slides around the housing of the light, and it allows for us to use those fancy zoom reflectors, which is pretty cool. The Interfit uses the Bowens mount, and both these units, I consider them to have very good mounting systems. You know, the mounting system on something like the Alien Bees, for example, is just terrible compared to both of these lights. They kind of have a little bit different design philosophy. Here we have a glass dome and an exposed flash tube that kind of extends away from the body of the light. That does work better if you want to get more light spread into larger modifiers and such. I did notice better light spread when using this light with my 7-foot Westcott umbrella. The downside of this design, of course, is that it is possible to easily damage this. You know, you do have glass exposed sticking out the end of this, so you know it's something that can be damaged. The Profoto has the flash tube recessed. It has an integrated reflector, and it puts out about a 77-degree spread of light, which is still pretty good. But the nice thing about this is that it's recessed, so that way it's not easily damaged and that sort of thing. So it's a pro and con scenario once again. Profoto, they do make a glass dome that you can buy for this light, and that's something that seems to be controversial. A lot of people seem to think that you need it if you're using large modifiers. A lot of people I've noticed really swear by it, especially with like beauty dishes and things like that. I haven't had an opportunity to test this, but in a future video, I will test it and let you guys know how it works with that dome and without it. I actually did a lot of searching on YouTube myself, and I couldn't actually find any videos that anyone else has made about that. So maybe in the future I'll get a chance to give it a go myself. But once again, kind of a pro and con sort of situation. The Bowens mount, they make lots and lots of modifiers for it. There are a lot of third-party modifiers out there. You know, a lot of people say, well, Profoto's got more modifiers than anyone, and then some other people say, well, you know, the Bowens mount, everyone makes things for Bowens mount. And both of those are true. In my personal experience, I still kind of find it to be a little bit of a downside with the Bowens mount, because even though a lot of different companies make modifiers for the Bowens mount, I find that they're all varying degrees of quality. Some modifiers are excellent. Some of them are just made in China pieces of crap, to be honest with you. So unfortunately for me, it's been kind of frustrating sometimes if there's a modifier out there and I don't know anything about it, no one's tested it, I have to buy it myself. It's kind of like playing a lottery, basically. Sometimes I've had good success with you know, various modifiers. Sometimes they've been terrible. The thing I do like about the Profoto system is that, you know, all the modifiers that they make, I mean, I haven't been disappointed with any of the ones I've tested so far, and they have a lot of modifiers. So if you're, you know, if you're a professional and you're looking to buy a certain modifier to do a certain task, you don't have a whole heck of a lot of time to go and test, you know, random modifiers from 3 or 4 different aftermarket companies, rest assured you can just get the Profoto one, and it works really, really well. So once again, more pros and more cons. So yeah, I will say neither one of these lights is perfect. There's things I could, you know, for example, these transmitters, I feel like the Photix Odin system makes both these transmitters look pretty bad, actually. Especially the new Odin 2, which I think is phenomenal, and I'll be bringing you guys a video about that soon. So I think that the transmitters could be worked on some. I also think that right now it's a shame that both these systems are kind of closed systems. You can buy this transmitter to go with this light, you can buy this transmitter to go with this light, but that's about all you can do. You know, there are Profoto, they do make some other air remotes and receivers that can be used to do like basic triggering if you're using a speed light or something. But it would be very, very nice if you could buy a receiver that you could slide a speed light on and have TTL control over the speed light and over the B1 all at the same time. And the same thing goes for Interfit. It'd be very, very nice if we could do that as well. So, you know, Photix, they have a really big advantage in terms of their radio systems. And I just saw a couple days ago that Elechrome has actually announced some type of receiver that will work with their system too, that will allow you to integrate speed lights more easily. So hopefully Profoto and Interfit are listening. Hopefully they come out with something similar very, very soon. The other thing about these lights is that, of course, high-speed sync always has a downside to it. You know, high-speed sync is not a free lunch. High-speed sync actually does not allow you to overcome the power of the sun or anything like that any easier. It just allows you to be able to shoot at wider apertures and still bring your ambient down. And this is something I'm going to discuss in more detail in a future video. But the downside that happens with both these lights when we start talking about high-speed sync is that we have very limited power range. On Profoto, you end up going down to like a power level 8, roughly, which works out to be about quarter power. And on the Interfit, you end up at somewhere around a 5, I believe. So unfortunately, you don't have a very, very wide range of power adjustment whenever you're using high-speed sync. The other thing that's a downside on the Interfit is that, and I think there may be a difference in how this works with Nikon versus Canon, but on Nikon, if you're shooting in high-speed sync, you can only do high-speed sync in manual mode. You cannot do TTL whenever you're in high-speed sync. So that's kind of a downside there too. So there's definitely some little cons whenever we start speaking about that. I haven't tested high-speed sync a whole lot with either of these lights. The day that I went out to do my B1 test, as I told you guys, I was expecting a clear sky and, you know, lots of sunshine, and I was going to give high-speed sync a test. Unfortunately, I didn't end up with the clear sky. So in that particular situation, I didn't really have to use high-speed sync any. At F5, I was still only at, I want to say I was shooting at about 1/200th to 1/250th of a second, and that was sufficient to bring down the ambient light to my liking, and I didn't have to go into high-speed sync. But I will be testing high-speed sync in more detail on both these lights. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of information in one video. I'm going to save more for the next video. I know there's a lot of people that have been posting questions on my Interfit S1 video, asking me when I was going to be making more videos to talk about this. So hopefully this answered a lot of your questions. I will be posting another video very, very soon talking about this. Definitely write me any questions you have in the comments below. And even though I haven't been making as many videos as I like to lately, I have been replying to lots and lots of comments. So definitely keep those coming, and I will do my best to get answers to all your questions. Oh yeah, one other thing too. So I've started doing a lot more with different types of social media lately. I've been doing a lot more with Instagram, but now on Instagram, instead of me like posting random photos of things I'm testing, I actually have taken the opportunity to share more of my work there, so you guys can check that out at PhotogJTheGreat on Instagram. And I've also decided to give Snapchat a go. And these days, I'm going to be doing some things with Snapchat where I'm going to be using that as like a kind of a behind the scenes sort of thing. So you can check out that as well. It's the same username, PhotogJTheGreat. And very, very soon, I also plan to do something with Periscope, because everyone's been telling me about that, and there's lots of cool things going on there. So if you guys are on Periscope, check that out. And at some point in the future, I'd like to come up with some specific time, which I'm not sure what that time is going to be, because it seems like I have very little free time right now. But at some time in the future, I'd like to come up with some special time when I do like little Q&A sessions and everything there. So once again, if you have Periscope, check out @PhotogJTheGreat there as well. Until next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is Jeremy Smith, signing off.